Good afternoon. Welcome to the Art House, Fine Arts with Gonz. I always want to make sure and thank Better Family Life Youth Department for allowing me to share my passion with all of you. And make sure you check out our website where we do have lots of other functions that are happening, lots of other activities that you all can have fun with. We've got dancing, we've got drumming, we've got exercising now. We've got all different types of information that would be very applicable for you guys in these times that we're living in today. Okay? So, with that being said, we're going to get started with our lesson. I don't want to call it a lesson. With our activity that we're going to be doing probably for 2 to 3 different lessons or different time frames. For the next couple, 2, 3 Thursdays, we're going to be working on this particular subject matter, which is very, very dear to my heart. It has to do with the creation of illusion. All right, what does that mean? It means you're trying to make something out of almost nothing. Trying to create an illusion is just making something that is out of nothing, almost magical. But there's different techniques that we're going to be learning on how to go about creating that. All right, and this is all based on a one-point perspective. That's what it's called. This particular lesson plan that we're going to do is a one-point perspective. A one-point perspective is a mathematical system for representing a three-dimensional objects in a space of two-dimensional surface by means of intersecting lines that are drawn vertically and horizontally that radiate from one point. All right? That sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo, doesn't it? Just a lot of scientific different terms. But what it actually means, the definition sounds complicated. The concept is very simple. Well, it's not very simple, but it's that shows how things appear to get smaller in the back, further away, converging to a single vanishing point, all right, or a focal point. Now, you guys got to remember all those terms that we learned these last couple 2 Thursdays. We're going to add one more term today, and it's called a vanishing point. It's called a vanishing point or a focal point, where we want the eye of the viewer to go to. All right. It's a way of drawing objects upon a flat piece of paper so that they have 3 dimensions, a 3D effect. Like we've been going through all these different lesson plans, I've always had something additional to just the technical aspect of the drawing, of the art, okay? The technical aspect is something that you can get better at as you go practicing year after year, but you have to be very disciplined to do it on a regular, consistent basis, just like any type of athlete who is practicing constantly to do a good job, or to do what he really wants to do, knowing how to throw a three-pointer. You have to keep on throwing that ball, you know, how many times? 1,000 times to get it right, or to get that arch right, okay? Same thing with art. It's just on how you maneuver your hand and how that information is coming from your head from your head to your hand, from your brain to your hand, and that's a muscle. And muscles need to be practiced on a regular basis. And I'm going to reiterate that to you guys. Don't think that you'll just be able to one day just have that talent to draw or to paint. It takes time. It takes discipline. It takes work. Just keep that in mind, all right? And especially if you want to make a living to be an artist, which is quite a feat in itself. All right, back to the subject matter. Linear perspective is thought to have been born back in 1419, around back then, about 500 years ago, over 500 years ago. All right, that's when it is perceived that it was born. But probably linear perspective was discovered back by the Egyptians, or back by the Greeks, or the Romans, or many other civilizations before that, but we just don't have records to prove that. But we do have records to prove that it was reborn about 1415, that's a long time ago. And it was rediscovered by an Italian architect by the name of Filippo Brunelleschi. I'm not sure if I'm massacring his name, but that's what it looks like. No, that's what it sounds like. And it was documented by another architect, Battista Alberti, another Italian, in 1435. That's when he put it down on paper of what this was, how to go about getting images or creating these spaces. Because before that, the art before the Renaissance was very flat, and it had different perspectives. It didn't make a lot of sense. It wasn't very real. So after the 14th century, after the 1400s, that is when it got rediscovered. And once it got rediscovered, and if you like history and you like to learn about art, go look up and get an opportunity, go look at some of those beautiful paintings from the Italian Renaissance and from the Flemish Renaissance. Those are from the northern part of Europe to the southern part of Europe. Just fantastic, gorgeous drawings and paintings of different types of architecture, and really, really encapsulating that perspective that what we're going to try to learn today. All right? So that's a little bit of history. I'm going to show you some of my works because I love perspective. I put perspective in everything that I work with. I have a lot of mathematics as a background, and so to me numbers and things of that nature are very, very important, and I put that with my art. The three essential components of linear perspective are the parallel lines. Parallel lines means two lines that are going this way or going this way, okay? And a horizon line, remember what we talked about a horizon. The horizon is the meeting of the earth and the sky. There's a place where there's a meeting there too, okay? And as we have in this horizon line where we want the viewer to be, we have to create a vanishing point, a focal point. And that is where that point is going to be, where we're going to be able to start our exercises. All right. And one last thing about perspective, it just doesn't apply to buildings. It applies to our faces, to our hands, because if you ever try to draw a hand and it's extended like this, and if you really want to do it mathematically, you can get a 1-point perspective exactly where that goes, because back over here is going to get smaller, this is going to get larger. So there is a way of being able to do the body through perspective also. You can do perspective with anything. It's amazing. It's such a great tool. And that's why I'm going to tell you guys so much about it, okay? All right, let me show you a couple things of some of my creations of how we're about 1 point. This particular drawing is a 1-point perspective, and hopefully you guys are able to see it. It's not blinding because of the light. Hopefully you'll be able to see it pretty clearly. But over here, if you see these lines that are going down here, all right, these are all going to converge to 1 point, to one focal point. And from this focal point that comes over here, the rest of everything else is going to happen, okay? The stairs, the archways, everything is based upon that point going up, because this line that comes here is going to converge to this point. This is going to converge here. This is going to converge. It's really just amazing that all these lines will end up over here. So this is a real clear piece of work where you can see how perspective works. All right. Now, one last little thing that I'm going to show you is another painting with a lot of perspective involved that I did. Now this is on a floor to create an illusion of depth. And you can do that, again, all these lines are going to come over here, which is the focal point, okay? They're all these lines here, they're all going to come over to this focal point. And this was a drawing before it was a painting. This was constructed through the one-point perspective. All right? With all that said, let's get to drawing. All right, let me get me my pencil, the one that I want to use. We're going to go with the 4B, all right? And we're going to get our little implements of construction. And I'm missing one of my other little rulers. Here we go. And we're going to get my eraser. All right. These are our instruments. All right. Ruler, a right angle. If you guys ever get an opportunity to get yourself a right angle, it helps you out immensely on how, especially when you're doing perspective drawings. Okay. We've talked about this little guy before. All right. So, our first exercise is I'm going to be doing some cubes, and these cubes that we're going to draw are going to be in different spaces. All right, and they're going to be in one of them you're going to be able to see the bottom of the cube, and the other one you'll be able to see the top of the cube, and in the other one you won't be able to see the cube at all, but you'll still see the illusion of three-dimensionality. All right, so let's start with our first cube here. All right, we're going to draw a cube. And you can hear the background. That's some beautiful music by Philip Glass. You can hear the music. He inspires me a lot. But I vary sometimes. I listen to some rock and roll. I'll listen to some soul. Depends on the mood that I'm in, on what kind of music and what gets me going. I love to dance. Sometimes I dance when I draw and when I paint. By myself, I want nobody looking at me. Only my cats. They're the only ones allowed to look at me. All right? So we draw the cube here. All right? So here's our cube. And what I'm also going to be doing now is I'm going to be putting a frame around it. All right? We're going to do a frame. I'm going to do another little one over here. We're going to put another line. All right. Go like that. Go like this again. All right, so we're drawing the frame around the cube, the front of the cube, okay? And you'll understand why I'm doing this, so that you guys can get an idea of the 3 dimensions, okay? On this sheet of paper, our horizon line is going to be here. All right, so we're going to draw a horizon line. This is where we want the viewer's eyes to be, on this horizon line, okay? And we're going to create our vanishing point right there. Vanishing point, focal point, same thing. Just remember, that is where all your lines are going to end up. So, we come from the vanishing point over here. We go to the first, to this cube that we've had, where we had the first of the cube. We'll go to the bottom right-hand side of the cube, we'll get our pencil and we'll draw a straight line all the way to the point there, okay? Then we'll come over here. And we'll do the same thing. Oh, almost lost my pencil there. We'll probably be going over our time because I really want to complete this particular lesson plan. And we'll come down here. And if by chance we get to finish this up, then we'll start making our cityscape. But this is a very important lesson for you guys to understand how you go about creating an illusion. We are creating an illusion, a three-dimensionality illusion on a two-dimensional surface. All right, so those are the edges. Now, we're gonna end up putting a line over here because that's gonna be the end of this is gonna be the end of the cube. Right over here, so we'll go like this. All right, and then we're gonna come on over here. And if you guys haven't noticed, I already did my grid over here on this first, before anything else. Remember the grid. Without the grid, it's really difficult to do any of these things that I'm doing. So the first step is to draw your grid, all right? So the next thing is, I'll line up my right angle over here, this way. Then I will go ahead and put my line in here. All right, there's your cube. All right, you've already had the beginning of the cube. So what we'll do now, the reason I drew a frame is we're gonna add this little section here, because you'll see, come back over here to my focal point, that to the little edge over here, okay, to this edge. Go like that, come in, draw my line on the bottom. All right, so now we have a shadow. All right, so we're gonna darken this up a little bit, just enough for you guys to look and see that we have created an illusion of depth here, as though something is going on here, that there's a lip in here. Now, the reason we can't see the top of this is because the focal point is higher. So all we can see here are the bottom sections of the outer box, of the inner box, I'm sorry, of the inner box. All right, and we're going through here. We're going to darken this guy up just a little bit more, just to give this a contrast over here. All right, so we created the edge of this little cube. All right, so now we're going to come on over here and just darken this up just a little bit. Not a whole bunch, just a little bit. And remember, when we were doing on our previous lessons, how I use the pencil. All right. Very seldom do I do it from the top. Okay, it's mostly from the side. And I'm going to grab this pencil here and go up and down. All I'm doing right now is just giving it the illusion of the three-dimensionality, which is what we're trying to do. All right, nothing that important, but just to show you. All right. All right. All right, so maybe you guys are questioning, finding out, how did I determine the size of this cube? Why did I pick this cube? All I did was just measure it out so that it could almost become a square. All right, I utilized my grid as my guide to be able to get the size of this cube going. Okay, and we're also going to give this guy a little bit of shadow in here, a little bit of darknesses because it's further inside. Not a lot. And then we're going to come back over here, do the same thing, up and down. And as we go forward, in other lessons, you'll be learning how to use these shadows and knowing where the light is coming from and why these shadows are going to be darker and lighter. There is an artist from Northern Europe called Vermeer, who was just one of those artists that was able to know exactly how to manipulate perspective. Vermeer is his name, and if you want to go and look him up, he's got some gorgeous, gorgeous paintings. He only did 42 in his lifetime. He usually would create a couple of paintings a year because he was very meticulous in everything that he did. All right, how did I determine, I guess maybe you're asking yourselves, why did I decide to do in the depth? It really doesn't matter. You could have made it shorter or you could have made it longer, but I was just trying to make it a cube so everything could be equal size on the front and on the side, okay? So there's your first cube, first one that we did. Now we saw this cube from the top. Normally whenever you want this thing to start floating, then you erase these lines and this guy's going to be floating. Next, we're going to do a cube. We're going to make a cube where we're going to be looking at it from the bottom. All right? And again, we start out over here. As such here, go over here. This is 2 inches by 2 inches. That's the front of the cube. That's what it measures, 2 inches by 2 inches. But it will not measure that on the side because it's going to be smaller as it's going further to the back. So you can't measure that as a 2 inches from this will not be 2 inches over here. Well, it can be, but it's not going to be a cube. It's going to be a little bit longer. All right. In this particular case, it's about 1.5 inches is what I determined that I wanted this to be. And we're doing this again here. A little front frame to show the depth. All right, I'm trying to hurry up, guys. It's not that boring. I don't want it to be boring, but I want you guys to understand and see how we go about creating an illusion through mathematics. Okay, so this is a little deeper. So the shadow on this particular guy is going to be on the top versus how it was down here on the bottom. Okay? So we're going to go like this over here. Make it a little darker here. Okay? Then we're going to go a little bit over here. Not as, I'm not going to press as hard. Just enough to give you guys an idea what I'm doing. All right, I went over this a little bit, so I'm going to use my eraser. So it's still nice and clean, all right? Now we're going to go to my focal point. That's where we're going again, focal point, vanishing point. And this is where we're going to go to this corner here, over here, All right, go here, slipped a little bit, and go to this, go to the focal point, bam, go to this side over here, bang, go over here, focal point, edge of the cube, here, all right? They're all converging. Converging means they're all coming to one point. They're all getting together to come to one point. Then we're gonna come over here, again using my grid, so I don't have to keep on measuring. I line up my handy right angle to be able to get all these things lined up properly. And I'll do the same thing over here. Line it up. All right. Come in here as such. Oops. All right, there we go. Now we're going to draw a little bit of shading on here as quickly as I can. And again, because we're seeing this particular cube we're seeing the underneath of the cube, all right? The bottom of the cube, that's what we're seeing right now, the bottom of the cube. All right, trying to hurry up as quickly as I can. Like I said, we're probably going to be over on minutes today, but that's okay. Very important that you guys pay attention, because this is the basis of a lot of your architectural drawings, a lot of your homes, a lot of your houses, a lot of your cityscapes. This is going to be the basis to make it look real, to give it that three-dimensionality look, all right? And here we go again. We're going to go over here on this side, up and down, going up and down as quickly as I can. I'm hurrying up. All right, here we go. All right, so our second cube. This one is further out. This one is just a little bit behind, even though they're still on the same plane. Just the illusion that we're creating again. All right, we are creating an illusion. That is what we're doing today. Next, we're going to be doing one last cube. All right, one last cube. This particular cube, we won't see the bottom, we won't see the top. And how can I do that? I do that to where the top of this particular cube is the horizon line, all right? So if our eyes are looking towards this, our eyes are on this horizon line, we won't be able to see the top of the bottom. All right? So we're going here, moving as quickly as I can. All right. Bang. Go here, make my frame. I like to do these little frames because I think it gives you an additional element of illusion, which is the name of this lesson. Of these next coming lessons. Now, I'm teaching you a one-point perspective today. Perspective, these perspectives, you can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10 to 11 perspective points in a particular drawing or painting. So it gets a little complex, but I'll tell you what, it's so much fun. I love to do it. The more focal points, the more fun it is for me. All right, here we go. We're going to go back again to the corner of this cube. All right, and we don't need to put the line over here because that line over here is our horizon line. And you'll understand how great we are creating this illusion with this line that goes straight. All right. Here we go. And we're going to go one more. We're going to get our little lips over here. And that should be, it should be coming down from this area. So this, you'll be able to see the bottom of this. A lot of times I'm able to calculate the space where it's going to land, and mostly because I've been doing it for such a long time, I don't really need to measure it. Sometimes I screw up though, because I think I know what I'm doing, all of a sudden my lines are all crooked and I got to redo it. All right, we're going to go ahead and darken this up again. All right. All right. Bear with me while we do all the last little things here so that you can get a good idea of how we're going to go about creating an illusion. That is what we're doing. We're creating an illusion. All right? All right. Now, there's only one place where we have to darken it up today. All right? There's only one place on this particular cube. And we're going to go up and down over here. Now, we're going to use a different pencil. We're going to go down here like this. Like this. We'll go up and down here. And make this just a little bit of a shadow. Coming here. Oh, I forgot to do that, the inside of this. Oh, the reason I don't want to do this over here is I want you guys to look at this, okay? So whenever we go from this perspective point to here, and let's say this cube is glass, so you can see through it, all right? This particular one. So you go here, you put your focal point over here, you come to this edge here, and then you draw your line, all right? And this will come to about right here. And then these two should meet over here, as such. Right there. And then this guy should be coming right about right here. Should land approximately there. All right. So you can see the inside of the box now. Okay? You can see the inside of the box. Perspective. I hope I'm not losing you guys on what that word means, or what it's like any other word. It just comes up. Perspective is just on how you're viewing things, okay? See that? Now you can see the end of it. And the perspective, how we're doing this based on our cubes, is we're creating these spaces as your illusion, okay? And in order to create illusion, you need that perspective. And in order to create that perspective, you need a focal point. And from the focal point to the first cube, you're creating this illusion, which is how you go about using perspective. All right? I hope I didn't confuse anybody, but that's basically what it is. One more thing I'm going to show you guys, and then I don't know how much time we got left. I know a lot of you guys like to do bubble letters or things of that nature to make your name look a little cuter, a little prettier. So we're going to do this. We're going to do an A, okay? We're going to give this A 3 dimensions. All right. Remember, because I have my grid, I'm able to do this letter a lot quicker. We're making an A and we're going to give it a dimension. Okay, we're going to give it that 3 dimension. Oh, HB, no wonder it wasn't that dark enough. I hope you guys can see this one. And we're going to go here. All right. Go here. Now I'm going to use the focal point over here to see the bottom of the letter A. Go to this part of the A. All right. Do the same thing. Come over here to this part of the A. Now how do I know that I have to do the bottom of the A? Because it's above the focal point. Okay. That is why. Now, if this A would be over here, then I wouldn't be able to see the bottom. I would just be able to see the top. So that is why I know that this has to be on the bottom. That's why we're doing these lines over here. Okay. I think this will make a little more sense to you when you're looking at how I'm going about doing these lines and how I'm using this focal point to create the illusion for this A. All right, so we did this. So we'll come here real quick. Voila. The same thing over here. Okay. Then we'll come on to this side. And we'll come here to this edge. All right, I hope it comes out okay. And I will stop right where this edge is, where the end of this line from the focal point is, because that we can also see the bottom of the bar of the A. And we're going to give this, come over here. All right. And then over here, we have to come from the focal point to the top of the A, come up with a little line here. All right. And then draw my line that will go across from here to here. All right. And then I'll go ahead and darken these areas here. Darken these areas here. All right. Come back over here, color this up a little bit. I know we're over time, I'm sorry, but we're almost done with this particular exercise. Hopefully you guys learned a bit of perspective, because next week we're going to go and construct a city. And we're going to construct buildings, literally. And you're going to have fun doing that, because later on, whenever on your own, you want to do your own exercise, you can do your own home. What would be a good exercise for you guys to do? All right. All right. So you see the A is now has a dimension. You can almost feel it. Okay. That's what we're doing with all these things here. All right. We're giving these cubes a dimension. We're giving these cubes and the A 3-dimension in a 2-dimensional space. Now, for you guys to do something just for fun, while you're grab yourself a photograph, all right, that has a bunch of buildings in it, and just start finding where the point would be, all right, where the focal point would be of that particular place. In this particular case, my focal point I think was over here. And then I came over here, now my focal point was higher. But that is how you go about figuring out where your focal points are going to be. And that's a lot of fun to go ahead and do that a lot on how you go about figuring this out. Because well, in this particular case, now that I remember, there's one point here, there's another point here, there's another point here, and all these went to a different point So there's a lot of perspective points happening in this particular painting. And it would be fun for any of you guys to go to any type of drawing and figure out how many perspective points or how many focal points the artist put in a drawing or in a painting. Just for a little bit of exercise, just a little bit of fun. That's fun for me. I don't know, maybe it's not for you. Okay, we went over, and I really appreciate your time. I hope we're learning things, and that I'm being able to transmit some information to you. And that's going to be it for today. And I thank you very much for you participating and enjoying our show. And we'll see you. For you guys that want to learn about the body, and because we're doing body parts, or we're learning how to draw the human body, and those are on Tuesdays. If you want to join us, then you can join us on Tuesdays for that. So I'm live for Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thank you very much. You all have a great day. Bye-bye.